Tisha B'Av, the day we mourn the destruction of the temple, a day marked with sorrow and sadness. Why is that? Why are we sad about something that happened so long ago? An event that we really can't fix, and a building that we never really knew and don't really miss. Maybe this period of time is not about sadness. Maybe it's about something else. Imagine a guy named Dave who has a father named John. Dave has a lot of respect for his dad. He calls him on weekends, he sees him on holidays, and they get together on occasion. Dave loves his father, but they're not really close. One day Dave gets a phone call that his father was in a terrible accident and he's in the hospital. Dave rushes there, and when he gets to the doctors say, "We're so sorry. We did everything we could and your father passed away." Dave's heartbroken. He begins the period of mourning, and he starts to sit Shiva. On the first day, somebody comes in and says, "Oh my gosh, your father helped me with this and did this, and he was amazing." And Dave says, "I don't even think I know my father." The next day, "Your father loved you so much. He always spoke about you. He was so proud of you." And Dave said, "Really?" With each day, with each story, Dave feels closer and closer to his father and misses him more and more. On the last day, the doctors come in to pay their respects. They look at the mantle and say, "I'm sorry, why does it say John Levine on the mantle?" And Dave says, "That was my father's name." And the doctors say, "John?" The man who passed away was Josh Levine. John Levine's still in the hospital. He's recovering. Now pause for a second. What would Dave do? You think he would say, "Whew, so happy. Do me a favor, when you get there, just tell him I'll call him later"? You think he'd be like, "Okay, listen, I got a busy week. Maybe I'll visit him in a month"? If there was a brick wall at the door, Dave would go right through it to see his dad. Why? Last week he forgot to call, and now he's going through brick walls? What changed? Focus. The goal of mourning is focus. Mourning shifts our attention to the deceased. We stop our daily lives and we put all our attention on them. And as you start to focus on them, you start to appreciate them. You realize how important they are and how much you want them in your life. You see, since mourning usually takes place after somebody dies, the more you focus on somebody, the sadder you get because they're not here anymore. But mourning doesn't equal sadness. Not if the object of your focus is still alive. We're not sad over the destruction of the temple. The temple wasn't a building. It represented a time in which God's presence was more felt in the world. We mourn because God is telling us, focus on me. He's saying, remember that as comfortable as you think you are, this is not the ideal. If you focus on me, you'll start to appreciate what life could be like with me in it. Me, your heavenly Father, could be a greater part of your life. Imagine a world with greater clarity. Imagine greater meaning and purpose. Imagine a world without the challenges of disunity and violence and fighting and fear. Imagine a world without uncertainty, without the ills of so much of what we've been conditioned to endure. By mourning a world without God's clear presence, we stop our daily lives and focus on Him. And by doing so, we get closer and closer to Him. And the more we focus on Him, so to speak, the more He focuses on us. Tisha B'Av is not supposed to be about sadness. It's supposed to be about yearning. It's the time in which we focus on how our lives could be so much greater with God's presence in it. And by building up that yearning, by building up that longing, we emerge even more committed to go through any walls that separate us from Him. So we are now entering into one of the most confusing parts of the year. This is really the beginning of the 9 days. And what we're doing is we are culminating in what is supposed to be the saddest day of the year that's going to be taking place Moshe Shabbat Sunday, which is Tisha B'Av. And if you ask anybody what is Tisha B'Av, they'll tell you, well, it's the day where bad things happen to us in history, We lost 2 Beis Hamikdashes, the city of Beitar. All the stuff, all the tragedies that we deal with throughout history somehow is connected to that one day, the day of Tisha B'Av. And if you ask somebody why, what happened on Tisha B'Av, they will tell you the story that we all know about the desert. If you remember the story, Jews are going through the desert, a couple of blips along the way, but they make it all the way to Canaan. They're about to get into the promised land, and they're standing at the banks, and God goes, here it is. You're going to walk in about a minute from now. Are you ready? And they're like, wow, of course we're ready, because we saw what you pulled off in Egypt. I mean, you were very creative, and you had some incredible moves. We can't wait to see what you have in store for those in Canaan. And God's like, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't get the memo? Well, you're going to be fighting. They're like, oh, what, us? No, well, we're Jews. Like, we can sue them if you want. Like, that's okay. Like, we can heal them. We can eat them to death. I'll call my mom. We can guilt them to death. It's never going to happen. We're Jews. We're not scary. We have other means. Fighting isn't one of them. Unless you put on an IDF uniform, then it gets a little different. But when you're ready, just a regular Jew, it's not happening. And the Jews go, whoa, are you kidding me? Yeah, I don't think so. And God goes, come on, you can do it. They go, no, not for us. You know what? Let's send in spies. Remember? Spies go in, spies come out. Spies turn around, they go, everybody, we're going to die. There's no chance. The Jews cry that whole night. God turns and says, you cried tears of vain, b'chiyas chinam, you'll cry for generations. That night was, Megillah, the Gemara in Tainus, that night was Tisha B'Av. Question. Is that fair? Let's be straight. God is supposed to be the merciful God. He's supposed to be our dad. Kel Rachum V'Chanun. He's supposed to be the person we turn to when we need something, and he's supposed to care for us more than our father. The Jews through the Midbar, they had a couple of blips. They did some things wrong. Moshe showed up on a mountaintop, brought God down, and God revealed himself to the world. 40 days later, they were serving idols in the golden calf. That was bad. They had a thing with the inappropriate connections with the princesses of Moab. That was bad. They complained as soon as they left Egypt. That was bad. And all of those things, we survived. They're scared. The kid doesn't want to go on the roller coaster. And the father turns to him and goes, you're crying? You're crying? Oh, honey, get me the bat. Oh, you're crying? Now you're going to cry. Oh, I want to show you what you got something to cry about. This is Hashem? So I want to share with you one line that I believe tells the real story. Because for sure not, Hashem punished us because we were scared. For sure. There's one line that tells you the entire story. When the Jews come out, they turn to the people and they give their report. And they add in one line. And the line is, V'sham ra'inu nefilim b'nei anak. We saw these giants, mina nefilim. And then they say, maybe I think when you look at this line, you almost feel like it's not in Torah. They say, V'nihi be'einenu kechagavim. We were in our eyes like grasshoppers. V'chein hayu be'einehem. And so we were in theirs. What does that mean? Because in my opinion, that's the secret to the whole story and the secret to Tisha B'Av. So I want to tell you a story. I grew up and I had one passion. I had my first love in life was an orange ball. It was a basketball. When I went to sleep, my basketball was with me. When I got up and went to breakfast, guess who came with me? My basketball. My whole life as a kid was basketball, basketball, basketball. When I got into high school, I played for the basketball team. And I had one game that I'll never forget. We were playing a rival school. And I want you to picture this for a second. I was playing on the varsity team, and the gym is jam-packed. And the whole game is totally close. We're tied or up by 1 the whole game. We get to the end of the game and we're up by 1 with 1 minute left, and their team comes down, and with 10 seconds left, their team scores and we go down by a point. We get the ball back, we call timeout. You can't even hear yourself think. The entire gym is jammed. And I come into the huddle so my coach can call the last play of the game. 7 seconds left, packed down by 1. I go into the huddle, and on my team, there was a guy who had the greatest shot I've ever seen. He can score from anywhere on the court. And I knew for sure if there's 1 play left, the coach is going to that guy. And I come into the huddle, and the place is rocking, and the coach goes, okay, you're going here, you're going here, you're going here. He goes, Harary, you're coming around the bend, and he turns to the guy that's going to inbound the ball and says, you give the ball to Harary. Charlie, you take the last shot. I said, it's funny you said Charlie. You must have meant him, right? He goes, no, you're you. I'm like, no, I mean, you mean him? You calling him Charlie now? He's like, I'm looking at you. You're taking the last shot. I'm like, are you sure? Like, because we have 1 shot left. There's only 5 seconds left. He's like, I'm sure. Whistle blows, we get on the court. And I am shaking. The ball comes, the guy inbounds the ball, and I come right around the pick, and I catch the ball. And as I'm catching the ball, my brain says the following to me. The coach is wrong. You're totally going to miss. And you're going to embarrass yourself. He thinks he knows. You know better. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get the ball, and then we're going to pass it. And someone else is going to shoot, and he's going to forget about the whole thing. So I come around the bend, I get the ball, and instead of shooting it, I pass the ball to another one of my teammates who doesn't think it's coming because he was in the huddle as well a second ago, and he also heard, Charlie, you're shooting. He catches the ball off guard, throws it up, he misses, and we lose the game. It's terrible. I'm still getting over it, as you can tell. This is just one big therapy session. I get to the locker room, and the coach goes, all right, everybody, good game. And my coach was like 65, been coaching for 40 years. He goes, okay, everybody, great game. Practice on Tuesday, no problem. We all get up, and he goes, Charlie, I want to speak to you. And everyone's like, oh, you're dead. So I'm like, you sure? He's like, yes. So I wait afterwards, and the locker room clears out. And looks at me and goes, what happened? I said, well, I know you gave me the ball. I know you called a play for me, but I know he's a better player. So I thought to myself, you'll probably have a better chance of winning if I passed it, so I tried to pass the ball. I knew it was a better move. So he stops, I'll never forget this, and he says, how old are you? I said, I'm 17. He goes, how many years are you playing basketball? I said, I don't know, 7, 8 years? He goes, 7, 8 years? He goes, I've been coaching basketball for more years than you've been alive. He goes, in fact, I've been coaching basketball for more years than before your parents even met. He goes, who do you think wants to win the game more, me or you? I'm like, I don't know. He goes, the coach or one of the players? I said, probably you. He goes, so if I know what I'm talking about, and I put you as the one to shoot the last shot, why wouldn't you shoot the last shot? I said, because I thought I was going to miss. And then he tells me a line that I will never forget for the rest of my life. He said, it's okay that you feel nervous. And you know what? It's okay that you may not even believe in yourself. But at least if you're on my team, have the decency to believe in me, because I know more than you. And if I tell you to shoot the last shot, then you better believe that I see something in you that you may not even see in yourself, and shoot the shot anyways. Because if I put you in the game, I see in you something you don't see in yourself. And even if you don't think you can hit it, I think you can hit it. And that's enough for you to take it in the first place. Believe in me enough to know that I believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And I said, you're right, sir. Next day, like I just shot every shot. It's okay, stop shooting. The Jews come out of Egypt. And the Jews in Egypt, not just Jews in Egypt, because when you look at Torah and all you see in Torah is what happened a long time ago, you miss the entire lesson. The lesson of the Jews in Egypt, standing in front of Eretz Canaan, is the lesson of me and you in our entire lives. Because every single one of us live our lives and we all have problems. All of us have a problem. All of us have a challenge. If you're alive today, something that you have in your life is challenging you. The only people that don't have challenge are the people that are sleeping in cemeteries. Because if you're alive and you're trying in life, the purpose of trying in life is growing through challenges. And when we go through our challenges, we think that the challenges are bigger than us. And so many times in our lives, we look at our days and we look at our challenges and we look at our lives and we go, there's no way I can do this. This is beyond me. I can't. And as we go through our lives, what stops us in life is not the ability to fight for challenges. It's that moment when you go up against something that you say to yourself, at some point, I can't do it. I can't is the part of our lives that stops us. What is destruction? What is Churban? Churban is not failure. Churban is giving up. It's hopelessness. When a Jew goes through life and God gives him challenges, he doesn't get destruction when he fails. He gets destruction the minute that he or she wakes up and says, I can't do it. It's beyond me. It's not me. I can't do this. And all of us have something. It's a relationship, or it's that kid. You know that kid? You have anyone have like that kid where you just thank God you didn't have him first, because if you had him first, you'd only have one. You know what I'm talking about? All of us have that thing that we go into our lives and we wake up in the morning and we go through our days, and in our guts, something tells us, you just can't. Give up, you can't. The story of the Midbar is the story of the Jewish people that stand up against something. And then when they turn to Canaan, they stand in front of Canaan and they walk in. And when they come out, the words they tell each other is, I can't. But if you look into the actual words, what they're saying is, V'nihi be'einenu kechagavim. We see these giants. How do you know they're giants? How do you know you can't take them on? V'nihi be'einenu kechagavim. Because, look at the words, it's unbelievable. They literally spell out their problems. Because we see ourselves in our eyes like grasshoppers. V'chein hayu b'eineihem. So since we feel inadequate, we must be inadequate. And God looks at them and goes, who told you you're inadequate? Who told you you can't? Because you feel like you can't? Because you see something bigger than you? I'm not going to punish you, God says. I'm going to teach you a lesson. That attitude is the core of your own destruction. B'chiyas chinam isn't God punishing us. It's God showing us why we're punishing ourselves. B'chiyas chinam is life when we look around at our lives and we cry tears of vain. It's the tears of, I think I can't, so that I can't. Because the whole essence of challenge is from the Hebrew word nisayon. And nisayon comes from the word nes. Nes means a banner. V'sa nes. Because the only way we grow in life is when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us a challenge. And so it is totally how challenges work that we don't think it's normal for us. Because if it was normal for us, it wouldn't be a challenge. The whole essence of challenge is, it's too much for me. That's what a challenge is. And the only way we fail in challenge is when we go, I feel like a grasshopper. I feel like I can't, so I must not be able to. Ma, you don't know me. I tried math for 2 minutes and I can't do it. I must not be good at math. I don't have the friends. I can't fight this. This is taking way too long to solve this crisis, to solve this problem. I can't connect to God. I can't, whatever's in your head right now of the thing that you can't, Churban comes the minute you say, I really can't. And the sin of the Meraglim wasn't that they failed. The sin of the Meraglim was that they didn't believe in God enough, because even if they didn't believe in themselves, they should have taken the shot anyways. Because the greatest aspect of what it means to be a Jew is to stare down your challenge and say, I don't think I can. But God would never have given this to me if I can. So I'm going for it anyways. Because I would rather fail and fail and fail than not even tried. Because not trying is destruction. And if you want to know what regret is in life, regret is when you look back in your life and go, I could have had this relationship with my wife, I could have done this with my children. I could have been this connected to God. I had no idea that if I would have just tried a little bit harder, I could have. I could have is the person looking back on a life of saying, I can't. And every year God looks at us and says, stop blaming me. Do me a favor, stop blaming me. I'm giving you an insight on your life. If you think that you're gone, if you think that your life isn't standing at your promised land, if you think that life isn't standing at a promised land right now and saying, I want that, and God goes, really? I want you to earn that. Now let me make it a little bit hard for you. And you go, oh, I can't. And God goes, how many years have I been doing this? Am I a little older than you? Do I want to win more than you want you to win? How about this? How about you believe me, that I believe in you more than you believe in yourself? And when a Jew walks his life and says to himself every day, God believes in me more than I believe in myself, you become invincible. Because you break destruction at its core. You know, the Chassam Sofer says this, and with this I'll end. The Chassam Sofer says that every single day, it's an amazing thing. God puts, he doesn't say this exact line. I'm adding the basketball mashal. He didn't use the basketball mashal. That's me. Whatever's basketball is me, whatever's Torah is him. Just getting you know. Every day, God puts you on the court and gives you a shot. And you start your day off and God goes, listen, I believe in you. So we grow up and the tefillah that we say when we grow up is, every morning they taught us, we say, Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam, shehechazarta bi nishmasi, bechemla rabba emunasecha. The Chassam Sofer says, you're not saying it right. The way you're supposed to say it is this. Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam. I stand before you and thank you, God, melech chai v'kayam, the coach of coaches. Shehechazarta bi nishmati, or nishmasi, depending on what side you're sitting on. Shehechazarta bi nishmati / You gave me back my soul. You put me on the court. Bechemla, with love. Kama. Rabba emunasecha. You have a lot of faith. In whom? The Chassam Sofer says, in me. I woke up this morning and I still got problems. I woke up this morning and I'm still struggling. And if you put me on this earth and you put this thing in front of me, you know why you did it, God? Because you believe in me more than I believe in myself. And I walk my day, and even at the moments where I say to myself, I can't, they're giants. I can't, they're so big. I can't. In my core, I say, maybe he believes in me more than I believe in myself. The fix for this period of time, the fix for the core of destruction, is a bunch of Jews that walk through their lives and say, as big as it looks and as scary as it can be, it wouldn't come my way if I couldn't overcome it. My dad would not place it in front of me if I wasn't strong enough to break right through it. And when we believe in that, we become a piece of that small voice that says, let's fight, let's push, let's go. I would rather die in battle than sit behind the banks and stay in the camps. It is my bracha to us. Then we stand up and say, every single challenge in front of me, I know is there to build me. And I will not fall into the same trap as the spies ever again and say to myself that because I feel like a grasshopper, I am a grasshopper. If God put me by the banks of the river of the promised land, I'm going in no matter what. Because that's what God wants of us. It is my bracha to all of us that we, in our core, believe that even if I don't believe in myself, the master of the universe believes in me. Rabba Munasecha. We fix the challenges brought to us by the spies and become the lions that all of us are meant to be. Thank you so much, and all the best. Jewish history is filled with moments of excitement, joy, and miracles. But unfortunately, also moments of tragedy. And while the Jews have suffered in many ways for many years, there was no greater tragedy than that of the destruction of the temple almost 2,000 years ago. That moment is the cause of all suffering since. I would assume that there must be a litany of horrible sins that cause this calamity, but there isn't. There's just one. The Talmud is clear and explicit as to the sole cause of separation, a lack of unity and brotherly love. What? Unity? That's the reason? Not murder, idolatry, and big bad sins like that? It's that we didn't get along? I mean, come on. All this tragedy because I dislike someone for no reason? Because I gossip? I'm not nice enough to my friend, I feel jealous? How could that be? Let me tell you a story. When I was in high school, I was on the hockey team. One year we made the playoffs. A week before the game, my good friend and teammate and I got into a fight. We stopped speaking to each other and it got very tense. Game day was different between us. We used to be in real sync, but this time we weren't. I just didn't feel like helping him score, and I think he felt the same way. We were down 2-0 after the first period. We went into the locker room and the coach was not happy. He waited for quiet and said to everybody, "For us to win this game, winning has to be everyone's number one focus. If it's not, let me know so someone else can take your spot out there." We all nodded. We've heard this speech before. We screamed, "Go team," and started filing out of the locker room. The coach stopped me and my friend. "You two are benched for the second period." "What? Why?" "Because winning isn't your number one focus." He said, "I don't know what's going on between the two of you, nor do I care. If your number one focus was winning, it wouldn't matter who scores, who looks better, who gets to be the hero. For a team to win a playoff game, it needs to join together, drop their egos, and unite under the same goal. For you two, winning is important, but that's not your number one focus out there today. You are more important than us. So until you change your attitude, you're not playing in my game." As Jews, we have to ask ourselves, why are we here? We are here for the unique task of bringing God into the world, infusing His ideals, His love to others. When we're easily angered, feel jealous and envious, when we hold on to our egos, when we don't extend our hand to help someone in need, we're showing God, "You're not the most important person, I am." That person isn't a teammate of mine who will join me to increase your honor. That's a competitor of mine that'll diminish my glory. You see, unity is not just about how we treat each other. It's also a litmus test about how we feel towards God. A lack of unity shows that even if we look, talk, and dress otherwise, we really don't believe He's in the center of the world. We think we're the center of the world. And by choosing ourselves over God, we lose a piece of that specialness. We lose the right to His home. Take a minute and ask yourself, what am I playing for? My honor? My recognition, fame, or fortune? Or His? If it's His, if we start to shift our focus from me to God, then we look around and start to see teammates and not competitors. We start to unify. And then nothing could stop us.